What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to more Gates of Hell, and today we are going to be looking at one of the worst doctrine units in Gates of Hell. Now this is, by the way, I'm going to just take into note or just take into consideration that this is for my personal view. Your personal view may change on what is your worst fate, your worst doctrine out of Germany, but this is based on the worst doctrine in this German faction. What I might do this for every faction if you guys like to see this. So if you'd like to see my review on what is the worst or what is the best doctrine unit in each nation, then let me know in the comments down below, especially with the new American faction put into the game. Then I think that's something to really look forward to. But anyways, the first one I'm going to be starting off with, or the main one I'm going to be suggesting, is this one. So this is the all offensive, and this is the West. So this is actually the new addition to the Liberation DLC. This is the new doctrine for the Liberation DLC. And I'll tell you why it is personally for me one of the worst doctrine units. And it is because, and by the way, we are basing it off the German faction, also the late. Out of all the doctrines in the late war, this has to be the worst. And the reason is because this. Now, as you can see, we do have, I admit, we do have some good meaty, armor here, including the King Tiger, but this is the early version. So as you can see, it's kind of got that early tower, which suggests that, this is a Tiger 2 of Spee, which with the 8.8 centimeter gun. But as you can see, it's the early version. But you also have the Panzerwerfer, which fires tons of ass rockets, which absolutely makes a nice pinata per se for the infantry. And you also have a nice artillery piece, the Hummel, and then you also have a good sniper such as a Nashorn, and then you also have this really nice this armored car here, this, I can't even speak today, the half track I should say, which is a flamethrower. So 2 flamethrowers on each side, which is actually awesome. But for me, it's just the worst, just because, like, if you are fighting against the Americans or any other faction, then especially in the late war, then you have no proper armor support. All you have is a King Tiger, which you can't actually get till like this is probably the most expensive. The King Tiger here is the most expensive one you can get in the doctrine. Therefore, if you're in the midst of battle or late towards the end of battle, and the other players are bringing out Pershings and KV1s, and all you have to fight are a Nashorn or Hummel or whatever it is, then you're severely outclassed. And I know the Super Pershing, the T26E4 Super Pershing is in the specials. I know that for the Americans, and I think also, I believe that for the Russians it is some sort of special KV1. I'll probably put a text now suggesting which one it is, but it's just, honestly, it is really not good. For artillery support, this doctrine is specifically, I would say, is good for maybe artillery support and also long range support, just because it has, it's got this nice artillery Panzerwerfer, which is absolutely amazing. You've also got a Hummel, which has the DPM kind of advantage for artillery pieces, and also you have for cutting down infantry, but it's just, for me, it's just awfully, it's just probably one of the worst doctrines you can get in the late faction, in the late section for doctrines, out of all the other doctrines you get for Germany. And just when you're comparing it to other factions who also play in the late doctrine units and the all offensive, then you can see that this is, if you compare it to each other, this is just one of the worst. I just don't really get when Gatesville are making this up. They went for historical accuracy, which I get, but they also didn't consider the fact that this, when you're talking about late war and you're fighting against, other factions or late war, you're severely outclassed in armor and infantry. Not so much artillery, but definitely armor, but also just lack of guns. Also, even though you have IC guns, even though you've got Nebelwerfer, but it's honestly, none of these are well armored except from the King Tiger. And then you do have, of course, the artilleryman, this artillery signaler, which is actually probably really underrated and really good. But other than that, I just think it's just a really just awfully bad unit. It just doesn't make sense to me that as part of the new Liberation DLC, and Gatesfeld did announce new units as part of Germany, and they added this doctrine unit. What were they honestly thinking? Like, honestly, this, for me, this just has to be the worst doctrine. Again, this is my personal view, and of course yours can change, but let me know down in the comments what is your worst out of the German faction in the late section. Out of all the doctrines, what do you feel is the worst doctrine? Let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, guys, that is it for today. I know, quite a short video, but I just want to let you know why I just thought it was just worse. Just because, just the lack of armor, the lack of infantry, just the lack of firepower as well, besides, you know, the Panzerwerfer and maybe the King Tiger, but other than that, that's really it. It just doesn't support the stuff that you need for an all-round offensive and just an all-round generalized, because in the doctrine it says all-round and it says west, which is of course the Normandy and all that. It just bewilders me that how you get so little support, so little armor, so little infantry and okay artillery pieces, that it bewilders me that how they added this into the game. Like, change it up a wee bit, maybe put the late, I know you put in the early Tiger, because the Tiger 2 I think came in towards the end of the war, but it never actually went into combat. It was in production, I think, the top of my head. But I know they did have a late Tiger, but that is the late Tiger. The normal Tiger is in your regular units, I believe, when you do this. Honestly, I really just don't get why this is so lackluster in firepower and armor and infantry. But the thing is, doctrines have, the way that doctrines is set out is that doctrines are set out to have maybe specifically in armor or in infantry or in artillery pieces, and for all round it's meant to have a mix of good armor, good artillery, good infantry, and all they have is like really crap armor and really okay to decent artillery and just no defensive firepower for them to protect against, maybe except from the Nashorn that could defend from long range, and possibly the Hummel that can attack, and especially no Panzerwerfer that can maybe defend itself. But all around, and it could be used offensively, but all around I just don't get why this doctrine is so lackluster in the late doctrine unit, late doctrine section. It really just bewilders me, and I hope, you know, this kind of makes sense when you compare it to other doctrine units in the German faction, but also in the other factions such as America, Finland, and USSR. And the reason I mentioned Finland, even though Finland doesn't actually have any tanks and all of their tanks was borrowed from another faction, they prioritize on artillery, and the artillery firepower in that doctrine is absolutely insane and really good. But Germany has armor advantage, but yet when you look at this, it lacks armor. It really does. There's no special unit, unlike, you know, the Super Pershing and other units, which it just bewilders. It really does not make sense to me, and I hope that kind of explains why, in my opinion, it is one of the worst doctrine units in the German faction in the late war section. So guys, that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comments. And what is your worst doctrine units that you have played in the game that you really regret playing and you'll never play again? Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching and your support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.